Rudnick, and this is Group 5's final project video. Our final project is CareCircle. CareCircle's main purpose is to create a task management system for specifically elderly people who may have had an accident, may be in a nursing home, may have some sort of house that needs to be taken care of. This is a pretty common issue where elderly individuals have long hospital stays and they have many things that need to get taken care of, and they don't have an easy way of having their family members take care of these things that need to get done for them. So we came up with CareCircle. This is a task management app. I originally had the idea for this because a couple years ago, my grandma, she slipped and fell and she hurt her knee during just walking around the street. And she was in the hospital for 2 months after that. And she has a lot of things in her house that need to get taken care of. She has a cat that was staying in the house alone that needed to get taken care of. She has a bunch of plants that needed to be watered. She has a pool that needs to get taken care of in the summer. A lot of little things around her house that need maintenance and need people to handle them. And it was just a lot for her to handle when she was not feeling great. So I thought this is a great app where she can have her family members sign up for certain tasks to take care of for her. And if she had this one that happened, I think she would have had a much easier time recovering and a lot more peace of mind. So that was my motivation for coming up with this idea. So in the next section, we will explain about the app, the different features, and I'll start with showing you guys how to log in, create an account, and set up your task management system with your first CareCircle. So next I'm going to show you how our primary persona or primary person, in this case my grandma, would create her CareCircle account and get started with creating her first CareCircle so that her family members can manage her tasks. So we're going to start with creating her account. Her name's Cookie Rudnick. Her email, we'll just do example@gmail.com. Phone number can just be this. And then I'll just make her password apples. So you can't see the back end and how that works behind the scenes, but we use Flask for the back end of this app and a SQL database that stores accounts, tasks, CareCircles, all the things that need to get stored. And obviously passwords, we store passwords hashed and salted so they're secure. So our app's pretty up to date with like current industry standards, and we're pretty proud of the final product we've created. So I'm going to click create account, and as you can see, we have Cookie Rudnick's like homepage where she can see that she's not in any CareCircles yet. She also has the option to create her first CareCircle. So that's what we're going to do next and show you how she goes about that. So now I'm going to show you how Cookie would go about creating her CareCircle so she can start getting people to manage tasks for her. So we're going to click create new CareCircle. We're going to call this my house because obviously it's Cookie's house that she needs people to manage tasks for. And as you can see now, she has a new CareCircle my house that's right here. It says she's a manager, as well as the opportunity to delete CareCircle, so she can click on this. And I think we created a very clean UI for the elderly to read, but I'll explain each of the different things that we got here. We first have the invite code so that helpers can join this CareCircle so that they can contribute to the tasks that we will soon to create. This shows upcoming tasks, things that are due soon. Completing tasks shows most recent completed tasks. There's also this that shows the helpers that are volunteering to help Cookie in her house, as well as the recent activity window, which shows basically the most recent tasks that were completed, or it's just an overall summary of what's going on, and there's ways to filter it based on tasks that are still to do, tasks that are completed, etc. So I'll go ahead and show you our first task here. We'll create a task. Let's call it feed the cat, because that was definitely something my grandma needed a lot of help with when she was in the hospital for a month. So we'll create it and we'll make it urgent priority because this is urgent. The cat needs to be fed. We'll make it due the cat usually gets fed at 6 p.m. so that's what time we'll set it to. And then we can click create new task, and as you can see, it automatically gets populated into upcoming tasks. It's due at 6 p.m. It's unclaimed, it's urgent. and it also highlights it in red because that's how we set up for urgent tasks as well as tasks that are due soon. So you can also see it populated the recent activity section over here, which also shows completed tasks, which we'll show soon. And you can filter it. We had some trouble coming up with an overall good like UI that we felt like, especially for elderly people who have struggles with using technology. We wanted this to be like very clean and understandable, so they know exactly what they're looking at. And so what we did was we came up with 3 or so UI templates using Figma, and had our grandmas, me and Jake both use the UI and see like if they can understand what's going on. So after doing that, we came across this design as like the easiest and most friendly to the elderly. So that was one of our biggest challenges that we had to overcome, and I think you can agree that it looks pretty clean now. I'll show you adding another task, water the plants. This time I'll add a description. Only the flowers. So this obviously makes it easier to know exactly what the task is. We'll make this one normal priority, and we'll set this one to be due tomorrow at 4 p.m. Okay, so if we create this new task, you can see that this one, since it's not urgent, it's highlighted in blue, which my grandma's idea to come up with the coloring because she thinks it's much easier to see. And you can also see it's added to recent activity, but it's lower down because it's less soon the due date of this task. So our next step is going to be to show you how this looks like on the helper end, so we can actually claim some tasks as a helper, and then we'll come back to this manager and show you what it looks like when you actually have helpers, and we'll put the full picture together.
The helper side and show you what it would look like if we were one of Cookie's helpers and we were trying to, claim her tasks. But before we do that, let's just say that Cookie created this task to feed the cat, but forgot to add a description. We added a feature where you can edit an already existing task. So if you click this pencil icon, it brings back up the task information. And so let's say we want to add this description, and let's say the cat gets 1/2 cup of dry food at mealtime. And let's just say we also want to change this day to tomorrow at 6 p.m. because, Cookie is able to feed the cat tonight. We will actually see that since we changed the due date to after the water the plants task, it will reposition itself to be sorted in the order of what tasks are due in what order. And so now we're going to show you that we can log out into the helper view, but before we do that, we're going to copy the invite code so that when we log into our new account, we can join that new circle. So we're going to create an account, and let's say that Danny is going to be helping his grandma out. So the name is going to be Danny Rudnick, and let's say the email is danny@gmail.com, and let's just say this is their phone number, and the password is going to be bananas. And so now we can see that we created the account. We can join a circle, and we have this invite code pasted to our clipboard, so we're going to paste that. And now we can see we have been added as a helper to My House, which was the circle that Cookie Rudnick created just earlier. And so if we click into My House, we now see that this is the helper dashboard section. And we see the tab that we're on right now is available tasks, and it's going to show the tasks that the manager, so Cookie, has submitted to her helpers. And so before we saw that we created the feed the cat task and the water the plants task, so those are both populating here for us to see. And so let's say we're going to claim the feed the cat task, and so we're going to click claim task, and now it's going to go from available tasks, and it's going to move in to the My Tasks section for me. And so now as a helper, I can decide to mark it as completed, or if I want, I can unclaim the task, which will send it back to available tasks where another helper of Cookie can then go to pick it up. But let's say I did feed the cat and I want to mark it as completed. We can add a description here, optionally. So let's say we fed the cat. She was very happy. We can also add a picture. So if we want to add a photo, We can do that. And now if we submit completion, let's say that, Danny wanted to add a photo just to, show Cookie just a picture of the cat for that peace of mind and, that she was doing well. We can add that, we can submit the completion, and now we see that the task moves from my tasks over to completed tasks. And if we go to completed tasks, we see the completion note that I just left, as well as this image that we just uploaded, as well as the due date, the completion date, and the new status of the task which is completed. Moving on, we're going to go back into Cookie's manager view and see how this completed task reflects on her end. So we're going to log out, and we're going to log in to Cookie Rudnick, password apples, and we're going to log in. Oh, email, so example@gmail.com. And we could see that if we click into my house, now upcoming tasks, we see that feed the cat is no longer appearing in upcoming tasks. And if we scroll down, we see in completed tasks, we now see feed the cat is completed. And similarly to on that helper side, we see the completion note that our helper left, and we see who the helper was. So we see that Danny Rudnick completed it, the image that was uploaded. And now we see in the helper view, it recorded that Danny has completed one task for us. And we also see recent activity that feed the cat was completed by Danny Rudnick. And if we filter by still to do, we will see that it only filters by tasks that are still relevant and still need to be completed. Or if we want to look at just tasks that we have completed, we could select completed only, and we see the feed the cat task was completed. If we add another helper to CareCircle, so let's say we log out and create another account, and let's say this is Danny's mom or Cookie's daughter. So this would be, let's make this account with a phone number, and let's make the password cherries. Oh, the account already exists because with that phone number, so we gotta make a new one. And let's make that. And now if we join this CareCircle, my house, we see that we are now registered as a helper again. And we can see here that each helper has their own individual unique view. So because I am logged in as Ellen and not as Danny, I can't see the completed task, which was feeding the cat. But I can, however, still look at the available tasks. And so let's say that Ellen wants to claim the task for watering the plants tomorrow. Now it's going to show up in my tasks, and we want to show you what this looks like from Cookie's perspective. So if we log out and log back into the manager view, so example@gmail.com, we can see here that this task is now in progress. It is still listed as an upcoming task because it has not been completed yet, but we can now see that it has been claimed by Ellen. And so now that gives us that peace of mind that, someone is going to be on our task and is going to be completing that. And so this also brings up another challenge that we had when designing our app. Because the front end and the back end were so separate in designing our app, we had a lot of inconsistencies with when we had multiple helpers and showing up the correct tasks on distinct helper views. And so that's why I wanted to show you when we have multiple helpers how that reflects and how each individual helper has their own view. And in order to resolve this, we had to meet as a group and just coordinate who was doing, since we had some people working more on the front end and some people working more on the back end, it really just required us meeting and coordinating that flow of information and making sure that those inconsistencies were resolved. But yeah, now we could see that we have two registered helpers. So we have Danny and Ellen. We can see that Danny has one task completed, Ellen has 0, since her task that she completed is still in progress. And yeah, I believe that is all of the features that we have to show for our app. Thank you so much for listening to our demo, and we hope that you can see the potential that our app has to really help the elderly or just people in need to manage tasks and care around their house to create peace of mind and lessen the burden that comes with having an external inability to manage your own household.